Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine. Hello, it's Nancy Maddox with WYTV7 in Charlotte and Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. I'm so excited. We have a fantastic interview that's coming up with a very special young lady who's been through a lot in her life, and she's going to really share with us. She's a pastor, a prophetess, and a published author. Her name is Miss Kendra Sikes. And without further ado, I'd like to start on the questioning because she has a lot to share with us. So, Miss Kendra, can you start out a little bit about your testimony and where you've been and where you are now?
Yes, ma'am. Again, thank you again for having me on this lovely afternoon. It's a pleasure to be able to be here to share my testimony. And yes, I definitely can. Well, it all started out, again, I grew up in what you would call a broken home. My dad was addicted to drugs. My mother was addicted to alcohol, and there was a lot of violence in our home. I mean, with me being a young child, me and my brothers, my two siblings, we witnessed a lot. And I mean, when it comes to domestic violence, my mother and my father, they fought all the time. The violence was verbal, it was physical, it was mental, and it just caused a lot of racket in our home. And so I saw a lot. And with me being a young child, I saw a whole lot, and it's something that a young child should not be able to see. And little did I also know that my grandfather, he was also abusive to my grandmother. And my grandfather, he was also addicted to drugs and alcohol and abuse to my grandmother. And that trickled down to my mother. And then little did I know it would trickle down to me in the future. So again, growing up in my adult years, because I really didn't feel like I was worthy. I mean, when I was younger, I was molested by an older woman. I was told that I wasn't worthy. I was told that that my mother wished, she told me that she wished I wasn't born. And again, I saw a lot. My father, he was abusive to my mother. So I thought that that's how a man was supposed to treat women. That's all I knew. That's all I saw in my lifetime. I grew up in a neighborhood where it was drug infested. It was, poor. So I witnessed a lot of poverty. So my way of thinking, it really wasn't prosperous. All I thought was, okay, this is how life is supposed to be, and that's probably what it is for me as well. My father, he told me he loved me, so I thought that when a man is abusive to you, when a man is harmful to you, and all these things, that's what love is. And my mother, again, she told me she loved me, so I thought that, maybe I am. My mom loves me, so if she says I'm not worthy, she's right. I'm not worthy. When she tells me that I'm not beautiful, that's right. I'm not beautiful. So that's what I thought growing up. And because I thought of that, I ran into a lot of things in my life where I tried to find my wholeness in different things, which led me to try to, find my wholeness in men. So I found myself sleeping around with different men, in and out of different beds, in and out of relationships that wasn't right for me. The abuse started whenever my first abusive relationship started whenever I was 17 years old with my first full-time boyfriend, which was in high school. And he was verbally cheating on me a lot. I mean, it just went down a spiral. And I thought that was okay. I grew up in church, but I really didn't understand what it was to depend on God for my strength. Was depend on God to find the fullness in me. So I tried to find that in other things, and I couldn't find it in men. So here I go. I started wanting to use drugs, and then my choice of drugs was cocaine. So I started to use that, and I started to go to different clubs. I started to try to find my wholeness in other things besides God. And that's pretty much where my testimony started from, where a lot of my hurt was from my childhood, and it trickled up to me into my adult years.
My goodness, you have really been through a lot, and God really speaks to you, so that's exciting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, you've been restored and redeemed, and tell me a little bit about how you met your husband. We interviewed him a few hours ago for another show, and I'm so excited. Miss Kendra's husband is D. Sikes, and he is a Christian rapper and a pastor. So I'd like you to share a little bit about your story, your life with him, and what's happened.
Absolutely. Well, I met Kenny. I was in grade. We both met at alternative school. It's funny, we both got into some situations at our high school, sent us to alternative school, and there we met. He was my first, like, I would say my first true, really boyfriend. He asked me out and we went out from there. His mother had passed away and he ended up moving to Philadelphia. So I lost contact with him and I haven't seen him for years. And that's how I got into another relationship with the abusive guy that I told you guys before. And then in the midst of that relationship, I met up with Kenny again, my husband now, when I was 17. And, we messed around or something, things like that. But again, we really didn't solidify ourselves as being a couple. And then he moved away again. Then I saw him again when I was 18 years old. And that's how we became a couple. We started going out then, and again, a lot of my abuse did come from my husband. He was abusive to me. My husband was addicted to drugs and alcohol as well. Kind of the same similar testimony of my parents and my grandmother. And again, at the time, I knew Christ. I knew, but I didn't really understand my purpose. I didn't understand what it was to be a wife. So again, the abuse went on, and the drug addiction went on. We both actually did drugs and stuff together because I thought it was okay. I thought that's what a couple was all about, because again, that's what I saw growing up. And so after a while, after the abuse started, we got married and we started having children. We have 5 children now. In the midst of us being married, I just was really fed up. Honestly speaking, I was fed up and I wanted to divorce. So we were living together, and I kind of put him out of the house, to be able to find God for myself. So in the midst, that's when I really just found Christ. And in the midst of that, God spoke to me and he told me, your husband, he's going to be delivered. And so I started to learn how to pray for him and how to seek the Lord for him. And that's how we became one in Christ together. And yeah, that's our story and our testimony.
Wow, that's an awesome story. And y'all have 5 kids. Y'all are courageous young people. That's all I got to say. Anyway, if you're just joining us, we're interviewing Miss Kendra Sikes. She's a pastor and a published author. She's from Atlanta, hailing from Dallas to Atlanta. And I'm with WYTV7 in Charlotte and on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. And I'm in Little Rock, and the radio station's in Charlotte. So if you're just joining us, you're in for a real treat, because we have a lot more we're going to talk about, Miss Kendra. Let's switch gears a little bit to talk about your most recent accomplishment of publishing your book. The name of the book is Rebirth from Cursed, and it's about generational crises that you've been through your life and how you've worked through that and where you are now. So can you talk a little bit about your book?
Yes, I can. Yes, again, my published book, I'm so excited about that. It's Rebirth from Cursed. And listening to my testimony before, again, I stated that I was a victim of generational curses, of dealing with a lot of domestic violence, abuse, drug use, and alcoholism, and soul ties, and fornication and things of that nature. And basically, Rebirth from Curse, why I called it that, well, the Lord gave it to me, is because after I found Christ, after I was able to come to Christ, that's how all of the curses were taken. Basically, he showed me how to be able to break those curses off of my life, and gave me strategic prayers and plans on how to be able to use those. And I put them in my book to be able to teach others as well. In the Bible, in Galatians 3:13, it says that curses, Christ redeemed us from curses when he went on the cross. So in order for us to be able to have that over our lives, we have to accept him. As soon as I accepted Christ as my Savior, that's when all the curses and stuff were taken out of my life. Whenever I knew that, okay, Lord, I can't do this no more, I surrender to you. My way isn't working for me. I want you to be able to take full control over my marriage, over my life. I'm sick of going through this spiral that's leading me to nowhere, that's leading me to darkness. I need you to take control. And when I surrendered my life to Christ, he taught me how to be able to be whole again. The healing started within. The healing started whenever I surrendered my life to Christ. So that's why it's called Rebirth from Curse. As soon as I gave my life to Christ, I was born again. I was rebirthed. I was able to walk in my fullness. I was able to walk in my healing, in my wholeness. And I put it in my book and showed the strategic plans and prayers that God given me to be able to share others on how to be able to be rebirthed from curse as well.
Well, I really envision big things, Ms. Kendra. know that God's speaking through you and God has restored you. And I'm just so excited that you're willing to share your story with everyone to really help other people. As I was telling D. Lou when we interviewed him, the more blessings that we give to people, the more blessings we're going to get. And that's been, I know that to be true. Everyone that knows Christ knows that. I've experienced it many, many times in my life because I've helped so many people. And I do it from the heart. I do it because that's what I like to do. So, but on the book, Rebirth from Cursed, can you kind of tell us where that's available?
Yes, you can.
Hold up the book if you got it near you.
I actually don't have one near me. I actually gave away my last two, and I just ordered some more copies. So, but you can actually find that on Books a Million, also on Amazon.com from Kendra C. Sikes, Rebirth from Curse, and also on Barnes and Noble online as well.
Okay. Do you have plans to write more books? I know you got more in you. Are you going to do more?
Yes, I am. I'm actually in process of putting together a devotional journal for women, basically on finding the purpose in Christ. And I'm actually in process of doing it right now. I'm hoping that it will be out by beginning of next year. So I'm in the process of writing that at this time. And it's a daily devotional. I'm putting together a 30-day devotional for women just to be able to go in there and share their thoughts of Christ and be able to seek God for fullness and healing and wholeness. And so I'm excited about that as well.
Well, I'm going to get off the beaten track just a little bit. I want to hear about your children. You have 5 children, and I see pictures all the time of you and your family. I think it's just fantastic. But how old are your children? And give us a little bit of background about them.
Yeah, we have 5. My oldest daughter, I call her Prophetess because she is just so, she can dream and tell, every lot of things the house that we're in now, she saw that in a dream. So I call her Prophetess. She's 12 years old. And then I have a 9-year-old. We have a 9-year-old son. I call him Pastor. He loves to preach. Every Sunday, he likes to have like little meetings where we're preaching. He's preaching to us. Then we have an 8-year-old Kevion. Then our 6-year-old Nivea. And then we have a 3-year-old daughter and Lyric is her name.
What a beautiful family. Goodness gracious. What impact do you want to make on on women and their lives and their troubles of what they're going through?
Nancy, coming up in my life, I really didn't have anybody to help me, push towards my purpose. I didn't really have no one to be a voice. So I really want to be a voice to the voiceless. It's so many women out there that's dealing with so much inside, but they feel like they have to hide it and they were ashamed of their past. And that's the reason why it took me so long to share my story, because I was ashamed. I felt like that people would judge me for who I was in the past, judge me for, sleeping around, judge me for using drugs, judge me for all these different things. And I would really just shut my mouth, to be honest. And I wanted to be able to make an impact on women and show them that their past does not dictate their future. You're looking at somebody as bold and as vibrant as I am now. I wasn't like that all the way, all the time in the past. I wasn't always like this. I was fearful. I was ashamed. I was hurt. I was wounded. And a lot of my frustration came out, I was angry. And so I want to be able to be a voice to the voiceless of women and kind of show them, hey, your past doesn't dictate your future. You can do whatever you want to do. The Bible tells us in Philippians that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And it's so many, even women in the church and ministry, they have to put on this, persona because they feel like they can't, talk to nobody. Even women, pastors' wives, they feel like they can't speak on the things that they're going through because they have to have this, this cover, for people to be able to view them in the light that needs to be viewed. But I want to be that person to just encourage women, hey, get out there and tell your testimony. Your testimony is going to be the breakthrough for somebody else. Your testimony will actually help you move forward to your healing. And that's what I do. And that's what birthed out. I have a nonprofit organization called Survivors Embracing Survivors. And it's basically just women that's overcomers of domestic violence and any form of abuse, any form of low self-esteem and doubt. Just kind of helping, pushing other women to be able to open up their mouths and speak and share their testimony and move forward with healing.
Wow. Well, I have no doubt that you'll be able to talk to a lot of people and help a lot of people. You're especially women. God's going to bless you with more than you can even imagine. But I'm really excited. So, on your foundation, SES Foundation, how is that going? How's that working? Is it just getting started? And also, are you going to be on tour with that, with your husband and all of that?
Yeah, it's in the process. I've been doing things mostly on social media for over the last year, but we're in the process of trying to get things. I want to be able to donate, clothes and Pampers and stuff to single women that may have, dealt with any type of violence in their past. So a lot of it's done on social media with just uplifting and encouraging posts. Again, because we just made the big transition from Dallas, Texas to Atlanta. So we're right now getting settled, and I'm trying to just kind of, figure out how I'm going to be able to get that done here. My plans is to open up a transitional home for women that's trying to leave the, violent relationships that just, don't have any support system. A lot of women go back because they don't have the support system. So my plans is to, start a transitional house. But yes, that is going to be going on tour. I'm going to be also want to be start a mentorship program in SS Foundation. So I'm going to be talking about that on tour with my husband. It's called Stop the Violence. And we're going to basically, there's just been bringing awareness and a voice to all types of violence, domestic violence, street violence, gang violence, and so much more. So I'm going to be speaking and talking about that as well.
So the Stop the Violence tour will include you and your husband, and you'll be talking about the domestic violence part and all of that, which is really fantastic. Where I understand that's kicking off in St. Louis. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's actually going to be starting in St. Louis. The first date that we have is going to be in St. Louis, which is on September the 2nd. And we're going to be going out there. It's going to be on a Saturday. And we're actually going to be having vendors. So anybody that wants to go out and sell their product, we're going to be having vendors there as well. Also looking for other speakers, other women that want to share their testimony. So it's going to be in St. Louis, but we have so many other cities that we know we're going to be in, but we don't have the dates yet. So we're not releasing the cities just yet until we have a date. But the first stop is in St. Louis.
Wow. Okay. I think it's such a worthy thing for you to do, to set up a home for people to go to, because that's one of the main problems. I was raised, me and my two siblings, I'm the oldest, was raised in a family with an abusive father. Really hurt our mother badly. These were in the days when people didn't talk about things. This was in the 50s. So, but we all survived it. God took my father home when he was 64 years old. So, he wasn't around. He hasn't been around for quite some time. But my mother still just sits and stares in space sometimes, and I know all she's doing is just praying that her children never have to go through a life like that. But it's really kind of neat, because you don't know who you're talking to, or when you're making your testimony, and when you're pastoring to people and mentoring people, what they've really been through. And it can be anyone. I mean, people look at me and look at the success that I've had in my life, and it's all because of God. They don't realize where I came from, because I never talked about it. And then I never wrote a book about that, but I'm going to. I've been encouraged by everyone that I've been talking to. So I just think that everyone needs to know. But, in the 50s, it was kind of accepted. That's just the way it was. So, but let's see. I want to talk to you a little bit, too, about your radio show. You and your husband have a radio show called on Locked In Radio. So let's talk about that for a few minutes.
Absolutely. Yes. The concept of Locked In Radio came in, again, like I stated, me and my husband have dealt with a lot of trials and tribulations in our marriage. We've been married for 3 years, together for 10. And in the midst of all the trials and tribulations, again, God gave me the tools to be able to fight, and which is prayer. Prayer is the biggest weapon to be able to overcome any type of obstacles in your marriage. So as I stated before in the testimony, it was a time that I really felt like, okay, yeah, this is it. It's not going to get any better. And God basically was speaking to me almost every night. He told me, hey, you have to understand that we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities. And if you really want to see your husband change, you have to pray for him. You have to fast on his behalf. You have to seek me and seek healing for yourself the way you can be a light unto your husband. So I was up praying for him. I created my own little war room. I mean, I had all types of strategic prayers for him. And I began to war on his behalf because before I fought for my husband, he was my brother in Christ first. So I wanted to see him saved. I started to feel sorry for him. I had to learn to forgive him. I had to learn to forgive myself. So I wanted to teach other people. We wanted to teach other people to pray. You know, divorce is not always the option. If you just learn to pray and make God the center of your marriage and of your relationship, he can do so much more. But until you let him in and until you let God come in, he can't really do nothing. You have to invite him into your life. You know, so that's why we create the concept. We want to talk. So many marriages out there going through so many trials and tribulations and just don't know how to overcome them. So we wanted to be the voice. We want to be the advocate, you know, the voice to be able to pray for other people, teach people to pray, have people come on and talk about their testimonies and share our testimonies of how we overcome nearly divorcing and where we are now. You know, people look at us now and realize, didn't know all the stuff we went through. We went through a lot. But the love of God came in us, and that's why we have so much love for each other, and we want to teach others to do the same.
Well, we're broadcasting today on WYTV7 in Charlotte on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry, and I'm just so excited to listen to this absolutely fantastic young woman, Miss Kendra Sikes, and listen to her story. She is a published author. Her name of her book is Rebirth from Curse. And it's just an awesome, awesome story that you talk about. When we had Delu on a little earlier, we were talking about how we had to go into the streets to minister. And I'm a firm believer in that. All my career at a credit union is exactly what I did. I went out and met the people and found the people and helped them realize their financial dreams. But I firmly believe that we have to go to the people. We can't wait for them to come to us. So are you going to be included with your husband when he's on his street ministry? Because he just says he's going everywhere. So.
Yes, I am. We are a firm believer that you have to go out and make disciples. You know, we have to make disciples. And God said, be a fisher of men. And just like you said, a lot of people won't come into the church house because there's a lot of hurt and a lot of shame, and they feel like that they're not worthy enough to come to church. And so many people think that because of their sins and because of what they're doing right now, they're not worthy. So we got to go to them. You know, we got to go out there and spread the gospel the best way we know how and bring Christ into the streets. So I'm going to be right by his side. We are excited about the evangelism that we're going to be doing all over through music, through speaking, you know, me bringing an inspirational word, a word from God. I mean, we just got so much planned and we're excited. And actually, I know I said the tour actually starts in September, but we got some more planned before then, but that's just the exact date that I know. So we're going to be traveling on over, and I'm excited to just spread the word of God.
Wow. Well, we're fixing to wrap it up. We have a very little time left, but I'm just still so excited and just so happy that you came. I'm grateful that you came on my show. And now I'd like for you to just tell us a little bit of what you want people to end with, then maybe your contact information, what's your pleasure of what you want people to do, okay?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to tell you guys that's out there that may be struggling with any type of low self-esteem. Do you understand that your past does not dictate your future? Again, you're looking at somebody that's overcome all types of obstacles. And where I am now is because I believed in God, because I had faith in myself. So I just want to tell you guys to just know that your past does not dictate your future. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Kendra Sikes. You also have a page, Kendra C. Sikes. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm actually the executive disciple on Instagram. So pretty much social media. I also have a email that you can contact me on for booking any type of speaking engagements, which is Kendra Steve Sikes. It's KendraStegesSikes@gmail.com. And that's where you can find me. But I love you guys, and I'm praying for you all.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You've been so enlightening. You're such a courageous young woman and just such a beautiful child of God, you and your whole family. So we'll sign off for now, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light.